So welcome again, everybody, to our almost last Topical Tuesday of the year. We do have one more after this. And today we are talking about bringing science into our media center and learning a little bit more on how we can incorporate more science and STEM activities within our program. We are going to give you some time to sign in. If you have not already done so, use the link or the QR code to sign in. If you just joined us, I did put the link to the sign-in sheet in the chat box. I did pin it, so you should be able to go in and see it there. If not, I'm going to highlight it, copy it, and put it right back into the chat box. And I will give everybody a second to sign in. And again, I just want to thank everybody for being here. I know that nobody's counting down yet, right, Amanda? She's on, yeah. She's on the teacher schedule, so she knows exactly how many days everybody has left. So there will be a lot of us on here today. So if you are not speaking, please make sure that your microphone is on mute. And if you do have a question, you can use the hand button on the bottom of the screen, or you may put it into the chat box, and somebody hopefully will get back to you either at the end or in the middle. So today we are joined by Jennifer Davis. She is part of the secondary science team. I am going to give it to you now, Jen. If you would like to take over, present your screen and get us started. We're happy you're here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm going to real quick share my screen. I'm going to make sure I do the right thing. Share that. There we go. All right. Hide that. Ignore. Okay. So, hi. Welcome, everybody. It's really nice to be here, and I appreciate the invitation from Stephanie to present and talk to you guys a little bit. I hope that some of this might be things that you're like, well, I already do that, but I'm hoping that I can give you a little bit more of a science twist to some of the work that you guys are doing with our kids already. So a little bit of introductions. My name is Jennifer. I'm the program planner for secondary science, as Stephanie said. I taught middle school for 4 years. I taught high school for 6 years. Then I was an instructional specialist. And I have been the program planner up here for secondary science, middle and high school for 9 years. Just some pictures of things I'm into: chickens, dogs, sourdough, and cars. My husband and I drag race. I sit with my chickens. We eat sourdough. My dogs chase the chickens. It's a riot. Everything in my house is a riot. So it's really nice to meet you all. And please, as Stephanie said, if you have questions, just throw them in the chat or raise your hand, anything as we're going along. So the purpose of today's work is just how can media specialists better support science instruction? For those of you who aren't familiar with science instruction, so I am the middle school, high school program planner, but I know just a little bit about elementary school, just a little bit. I'm terrified of small children, just straight out terrified of them. You guys are amazing. Those of you who work with kids who are below waist level, I'm terrified of them. So in K-5 science, the kids are going to take a test at the end of 5th grade. And that 5th grade test includes content that they learned in 3rd grade, in 4th grade, and in 5th grade. So it's an enormous challenge for a 5th grade science teacher. As you guys know, 3rd grade, the big focus is on reading. 4th grade, the big focus is on writing. Science gets shoved to the side until, oh my God, the panic year in 5th grade. It's not much better in middle school. At least in middle school, we have dedicated 6th grade science, dedicated 7th grade science, and then 8th grade science. But the test is structured the same way. So in 8th grade, they will be tested on content that they learned in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And so in middle school alone, there are 93 benchmarks that they could be tested on. 93. They can also pull from third, fourth, and fifth if they feel like it. I can't imagine why they would. There's enough to mess with in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. But that just gives you an idea of what our kids and teachers are up against. It is a ridiculously unfair test. And so Palm Beach County, we kind of hover around the 50% mark. We go 51, 48, 49, 50, 49. We kind of hover around that 50% mark. And we're struggling to get past it. And a lot of that is because of what's happening with the test. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know what I had for lunch yesterday. I can't imagine asking a 13-year-old kid stuff that they learned 2 years ago about cells. They're just not going to remember that. So the 8th grade teachers have a lot of pressure. And then when we get to high school, it gets a little bit easier. Kids take biology. It's a graduation requirement. And it's 1 year of content. And all of a sudden, we go from roughly 50% proficient to 68. So to me, that just proves that our kids are perfectly capable of learning. It's just not fair to test them over 3 years of learning. Obviously, they're perfectly capable. So as I said, in high school, they get tested in biology, which is 53 benchmarks. So there's just a lot going on, just a lot. And one of the biggest complaints I hear from science teachers is there's too much content. And I'm like, you're absolutely right, but I can't do anything about it. It's written by the state. It's prescribed by the state. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of the context that science teachers are working in right now. So how can media specialists help? So the first thing I wanted to do is introduce you guys to where our teachers go for science resources and science content. So we have 3 Google Classrooms, and I would love it if all of you joined them for your appropriate grade band. In middle school, the code is there. We have 3, one for middle school, one for biology, one for high school. I will get the K-5 versions, Stephanie, and I will send them to you or add them to this deck, and you're welcome to share them with everybody. This slideshow is open to the public. So in all of our Google Classrooms, this is my big secret. Everything that's on Blender is also on Google Classroom. So Blender never breaks, right? Never goes anywhere. Nothing ever happens, never goes down. But if it was to do that, science teachers are covered. They go to their Google Classroom and exactly the same resources in exactly the same document, same format, everything is available to them through their Google Classroom. So I've included a screenshot there that just kind of points out that's chemistry, but it looks the same for grade 6 through physics. Looks exactly the same. So I hope that you all will join the appropriate Google Classrooms. We'd love to have you. I encourage teachers to post, but somehow they're very, very shy. They won't post in my Google Classrooms, but I encourage everybody to post and ask questions and access everything that you want. So how can you help? So I bet you the first 3 on there, you're like, yeah, been there, done that, right? So evaluating sources is really hard for kids. Analyzing visual data, graphs, and whatnot is really hard for kids. Using technology to communicate and to write is really hard for kids. And then my 2 favorite things in the world, Science Fair and SecMe. These are the opportunities that we have for kids who are really excited about science, STEM, engineering, to participate in extracurricular activities, competitions. Science Fair gives away at the high school level millions of dollars in scholarships, millions. And there's only 900 kids participating in at the state level. So your odds are pretty good. It's a good spot to go if kids are looking for opportunities to earn scholarship money. So the next couple of slides, I'm just going to kind of give you some resources from the science side of things that we like for helping kids get through these 5 things I'm going to share with you. So for evaluating sources, I know you guys, you're media specialists, you know how to evaluate sources. I'm sure you guys teach kids this all the time, but I wanted to give you 3 things that we have right here in the district that are good sources of information. So you guys are probably familiar with Newsella and the Gale Research stuff that we already have through your Kids District portal. But starting last year, I also engaged with the Society for Science, which runs our international science and engineering fair competitions. And we have a district, not purchase, it's free. It's not a purchase. Shh, it's free. District subscription to Science News for Kids. And that it comes with Science News Learning. So if you click on that box, there's a link behind that takes you to the teacher side of things and all of the lesson plans and resources that they have for using that in the classroom.
Jen, would
yes.
you be able to click on that for us? Because this is your presentation, so we can't click on the box.
Sure, I will clickety click.
And then if you can just share that link into the chat, maybe?
Sure, as soon as it comes back up.
Okay.
So this is an informational page about that Science News Learning, right? So it kind of, well, there you go. There's their advertising. That's why it's free, because they put all the sponsors on it. Science Fair is sponsored mostly by Regeneron. So tons of educators, but there's all the schools, teacher insights. So there is an educator portal. There is digital access. There is professional learning for teachers. There is print, and the print versions get delivered. They're already being delivered to your school every month. Your science department chair knows about this. You get this link now that it's up. Chat. Here we go. So your science department chair already knows about this, sort of the information. This is for right now, middle and high school. They do have an elementary version that I will share with the program planner, Miss Susan Wise, and I will alert her to it. But the better one for elementary, I think, is Newsella, and a little bit of the Gale in Context stuff is good for elementary K-5 students as well. So this is the sort of the information about the Science News Learning portal. And then your department chairs also have these links as well. And our schools are already all enrolled. Our middle and high schools are already all enrolled. They should have all been getting the print versions of these already. Miss Sunshine vetted them, and I went through her and Mr. Nolan and said, is this okay? And she said, yes. So this is a great resource. However, what I'll point out is those are good sources, right? They're vetted, they're peer reviewed, they're reliable, they don't have a lot of bias, What kids don't know is, what does a bad source look like, right? And how do I evaluate sources? You know, all of our kids, they do it all the time. They will take an entire USA question and put it in the Google search bar, the entire thing, okay? And it gives them the answer, which is terrible. But what we want our kids to be able to do is to look at an informational source or a website and evaluate it. So I put 4 links there, and I'm going to click on my favorite of the 4. This is the Pacific Northwest tree octopus, right? So this is an entire website dedicated to saving the endangered Pacific Northwest tree octopus from extinction. It's 100% fake. 100%. It's got blogs, it's got FAQs, it's got sciencey looking words on it. It's fantastic, but it also has an entire set of lesson plans and curriculum to help teachers figure out and work with their kids on supporting them in understanding that this is a fake website and what makes it fake, right? So great resources here for evaluating sources of information. It's really important. The point I'm trying to make here is we don't just need to show them what a good source looks like. We need to show them bad ones so that they can learn how to evaluate sources of information and websites. Okay, onward. The other thing that our kids really struggle with is analyzing visual data. So this is one of my favorite examples of that. The top and bottom graphs both show exactly the same data. Precisely the same data. The difference is the scale on the left axis. If you notice at the top, on the top one, it jumps from 0 to almost 7, whereas here it starts at 7 and at 0 and goes all the way up. So this is one of those classic examples of a misleading graph. it makes it look like there's an enormous change happening when in fact there is not. And so teaching our kids to look at graphs, analyze them, understand what they're saying, and also what they are not saying. So I have 2 resources on here for bad graphs, things that are bad and misleading. The figures gone wrong one, they are updating it, right? They are using new graphs and stuff all the time. So please do not share that link directly. You want to make sure that you're checking what information is on there before you share it with students, okay? And then for good examples, I'll share with you this one, which is called Our World in Data. You can basically search, life expectancy, carbon dioxide, greenhouse gas emissions, and it will give you articles, graphs, and all kinds of accurate information, but teaching kids how to read graphs as well. So this is another phenomenal resource that we use a lot in science to teach kids and work with kids on reading graphs, because those kinds of questions are always going to be on that 5th grade test, that 8th grade test, and that biology test. And then we also have a subscription to Data Classroom, which helps kids create their own graphs in a methodology that is a lot simpler than Microsoft Excel or even Google Sheets. It really walks them through how to create a graph to show what they're trying to show and why it matters. And then the last one I want to show you guys is a template that came from Avid, and it's called Lenses. I'll show you why it's called Lenses in just a second. So it walks kids through a process for analyzing a graph. So L, look at the labels. E, look at the equation. What kind of graph is this? N, what do you notice about the graph? S, what do you speculate? What can you predict based on the graph? Can you explain your prediction? And then summarize your graph. So this is a really nice template. Like it says, you can literally drop any graph that you want in here and work with kids. You can use a simple graph. You can use a complex graph, whatever you want to work with kids in practice in reading graphs. So the last thing is using technology to create and share. So this kind of ties into where we're going next with Science Fair and SecMe. So the first couple slides was about looking at other people's data, other people's writing, other people's creations, other people's sharing of information, and evaluating that and learning how to extract from it, learning how to get meaning from it, apply their scientific knowledge to it, and all of that. So then we move into how do we get kids creating their own presentations, creating their own ideas, sharing their own results or whatever, from whether it's an in-class lab activity or a science fair project or a SecMe mousetrap car or rocket launches or all of those kinds of things, right? How do we get kids correctly and accurately sharing their information? So we have 3 big things that we use a lot, which is obviously all of our Google tools, right? All of the things from Google that we use. We really like using Data Classroom to help kids create. They can input their own data and it will walk them through creating a visual representation of that data. Data Classroom is really good. As I said, we have a district subscription to it right now. It has help and on-demand professional development for teachers in terms of videos, help documents, and also help documents for kids. Very cool website. And the owner, founder, Mr. Aaron Reedy, is phenomenal and will answer your email within a half an hour if you email him anyway. He's really, really good. And then the last thing in terms of creating and sharing their own information is giving kids the opportunity to practice and present their information and peer review other kids' information, right? So peer review is huge, right? I think we all know kids never listen to adults, but they will listen to each other. And so giving them structures and protocols for looking at each other's, whether it's their mousetrap car technical report, their science fair board, their science fair slide deck, even if it's just their science fair graph, right? Or the beginning of science fair. Can you look at my procedures, my proposal? right? Forget about the end, start at the beginning, right? Look at my proposal. Does it make sense what I'm planning to do? So using the technology to do all of that and teaching kids how to use that technology correctly is really, really helpful. And then we'll get into, so science fair. So first question, is your school participating? Because it doesn't have to be run by a science teacher. If you'd like to make a little extra money and your school is not already participating in science fair, we would love to have you. And media specialists would be fantastic science fair coordinators. It's fantastic. We would love to have you. So at the middle school level, you can earn $2,100 stipend. And at the high school level, you can earn $3,100 stipend. So I've linked our Palm Beach Regional Science and Engineering Fair website here. Takes you to all of the information for, it's actually still for this current school year, but by the end of the month, beginning of June, it will all be updated for next year. Our regional science and engineering fair for middle and high school students is in December of every year at South Florida Fairgrounds. For elementary, it's a little bit later. It's in April, May. I think they're kind of having it now. It's an online showcase. So if you're interested in helping at the elementary level, I can give you the names and information to help out there. But the help is the same, right? Helping kids figure out topics. So curating resources on current science research that might help and inspire kids. Using those science news subscriptions, right? There's a lot of information in there that might inspire kids and get them asking questions. It's one of the hardest things to do is to help kids narrow down their ideas into a topic or a problem that they can work on. Kids want to save the world. Like, I want to stop climate change. Well, okay, we're not going to stop climate change before December. It's not going to happen. But what can you do? What can we research? What can we learn about it that is a tiny step in the process of stopping climate change? Same thing with, curing cancer, or all of the things that kids hear about in the news or hear about in with their families, their hobbies, things like that. Helping them narrow that to a topic and a research question that they can answer is really, really helpful. And that's information that if you want to help with science fair and you can either help the current science fair coordinator at your school, or you can be the science fair coordinator. We provide you with that help and guidance. And all of this is critical. And I know it doesn't sound like it's related to those 3 tests that I talked about. It is, because the ability to think through a question and apply your scientific knowledge to figure out an answer, that's the test. That is the test, right? Think through, apply your scientific knowledge, pick an answer. And science fair, SecMe, all of those things help kids reason through and come to a conclusion. So curating those resources, helping kids choose appropriate research topics, guiding them when it comes time to create displays, and then giving them the opportunity to practice presenting. And then, of course, I didn't put it on this slide, but it's the same as last one, peer review, giving each other guidance and help. If you can establish that culture and environment in your media center, your kids are going to win science fair. They're going to win, and they're going to rock it. And then lastly, we have SecMe. So we have a link here to the SecMe survival guide, which is, again, similar to that science fair website, kind of walks teachers through all of the requirements and what we have to do. So again, helping kids through that process, guiding them in engineering notebook presentations, presenting their information correctly, accurately, using the technology, using the right resources, citing those resources, all that information into that engineering notebook and presenting it to judges. If you can be that guide and that cultural environment where kids can come and do that and learn and practice, as I said, whether you're the SecMe Science Fair coordinator or whether you're just supporting the person who is, that's an unbeatable team right there. It really is. So that is everything that I had. I'm 5 minutes early, but if anybody has questions for me, or is there something else that I didn't cover or you have questions about, please just unmute or raise your hand and I'm happy to try to help. Nobody?
I think you did a fantastic job. Thanks, Jen. Does anybody have any questions? So I know that. Go ahead.
I will share this deck. I'll share this deck with you, Stephanie.
That'd be great. Yeah. I know that a lot of it may seem middle or high school. However, we do have Amanda on our team who was on elementary science. So if you're on the elementary side and you couldn't really connect the dots to that, even though there was a lot for us that we could be helping with, especially with, I think it'd be fun to teach the kids how to make graphs and interpret other kids' graphs and things like that. But reach out to Amanda. She loves science, loves to help, and will give you plenty of ideas on how to incorporate more elementary read aloud books and things like that for the library. I will send out the presentation when I send out the recap. Is there anything else for Jen before we move on?
I just put her name in there. Susan Wise is the K-5 science program planner as well. And she can give you the information on the K-5 science fair. The SECME information is run by Mr. Reamer. He runs the K-12 SECME program, and that survival guide has all of that contact information in it.
Perfect.
We can also get the Google Classroom codes for you, because I did just email Susan Wise as well. She said that they've got it broken up this year. They're going to combine next year. So I do have the one for 3-5, but I'll get the one for K2, and we can put that in our send out as well.
Absolutely. We will put it all together for you guys, so you have everything together as one thing. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you very much, everybody. It was wonderful to see everybody. Yep, your science standards. As I said, everything for middle school and biology is on those Google Classrooms. So you can see our scope and sequence. You can see the breakdown of standards in the scopes, when they're teaching, what they're teaching. All of that is on Google Classroom. And of course, you have my email address. Please reach out if there's anything I can do to help.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. We're going to continue on now with just a little bit more. Like I said, this class is closing at the very soon, but we have one more session after this. And then, so if you need points, make sure this is sort of like your PLC. You will earn 20 points for participating throughout the year and completing your assignment. It's just sort of like a cumulative assignment for all the different sessions throughout the year. Because it's the end of the school year, we have a lot of items due. And so most of your ELM courses are probably closing if they have not already. There are some that probably will close towards the end of May. And then speaking of deadlines, I'm going to let Kimberly talk a little bit about collection development. So go ahead, Kimberly.
All right, we have a deadline coming up, May the 9th. Your FY26 collection development plan is due. If you have any questions or concerns, just shoot me an email, send me a chat. I'm very happy to help you.
Thank you so much. We hope that we've done a wide range of different topics throughout this year on Topical Tuesday. But if you want any more, or you didn't get enough of something, or you want to focus on a certain topic, please bring that to us next time. Because next time is sort of like an open mic day for us to share ideas, topics, different questions. It's just sort of us. We've done all the talking this year for Topical Tuesday, so we're giving you a voice and giving you a chance to share. We did also send out the end of the year survey that asks you a couple questions. We'd like to gear our trainings on what fits your needs and what works best for you. So please use your voice to write down topics that you are interested in or haven't gotten enough of. And then also we will need your t-shirt size for the symposium. Wink, wink. But if you need anything else from us, I'll stay online for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And then we'll stay on an extra little bit to see if anybody needs anything. But thank you guys so much.